Is my flight enough? I check it like 18 times before everything.
Make it 19, man.
Welcome back to GiantBomb.com's coverage of E3 2017. We are live on the internet with a new set of guests. Starting down the far end of the couch. You know him. I was going to say you love him, but maybe you love him.
I do.
Tim Turi from Capcom.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, executive director. You are the new Mega Man. You're playing the role of Mega Man.
Yeah, they let you edit any Wikipedia page, really. You can just get in there and kind of tweak things however you want.
Yeah. I had a really good time in there.
Yeah, you can buy your own Mega Man helmets and put them on.
Yeah. No one's stopping you.
Yeah, people believe what you post on the internet. So.
And we have Andy and Mike from Monolith.
Yeah, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming through.
It's been a busy few days, but it's been nice to be here too.
Yeah. A busy time showing off Shadow of War.
Yeah.
Which, obviously, Shadow of Mordor, hell of a game. Some might even call it the game of the year that year.
Some might, is my understanding.
And now here you are with the sequel. How's it been showing it off? Finally, I imagine this has been in the works for some time.
This has been the first time we've been really able to let people get their hands on it.
Yeah.
And it's just been amazing, just phenomenal. Just hearing the reactions and just seeing, people surprise us with what they're doing in the game and just all the craziness.
Yeah, it's fun because it's a game that I think we obviously spend a lot of time playing internally because there's just so much cool stuff that can happen. And I think as time goes on, whether you mean to or not, you kind of fall into your own groove of your own play style, or you pick the same abilities or whatever the case is. And when you suddenly watch someone else play it, and it's just what you feel like is a similar scenario, but it plays out entirely differently, it's this, I don't even want to say anything. This is just fun to watch.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been just cool to let people come through and actually witness that.
Has it been your experience, having all these people play it, is are all those play styles, has that stuff been valid and you're okay, great, this is working as intended, or are there some things where you're all right, let's just write this down later, we gotta fix this.
I think the thing that's been great is seeing people play it, and so it can be this kind of epic fantasy with all this intense, large-scale action.
Right.
Or then someone can pursue one of the missions, and it's kind of this, creepy horror game. Or then they can go after this particular enemy or nemesis, and it's basically a kind of Abbott and Costello comedy. It's got this incredible spectrum of style and tone and possibilities that's really fun.
A game with range. Mm-hmm. It's been interesting as seeing games where in the first game, over the course of that first game, you get very powerful. You pick up a lot of moves along the way, and you're tutorialized into this ability set. Mm-hmm. So for this game, is it hard to do you gin up a reason to kind of do that all over again, or does the player start super powerful, ready to go, and then become even more powerful on top of that?
You ultimately become even more powerful than you were in Shadow of Mordor, but the enemies and the world around you become more powerful again. So kind of everything's very much turned up to 11.
Yeah.
It seems like there's a lot of variabilities between at least in terms of both combat and movement when it comes to your direct interactions with the world and the button press that you're going to immediately beat up a captain or just try and traverse the world in some way. All those things have dialed up in such a significant way. And at first it's this feels really good. And you're I need this to survive against these guys. They're not fucking around.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Wait, did all...
Can we cuss on the internet,
yes,
by the way?
Yeah, it is still the internet.
Did all the orcs also get a ring? Do they all have rings?
Yeah.
We liked it, so we put a ring on it.
Oh my gosh.
That's,
yeah.
That's really good.
Are you hinting at me for a ring again? Is that... Did you have to wait till now?
Why do you think I came on this couch?
Did you have to wait till now?
I don't want to get into it like this.
I'm sorry. This happens every time.
Domestic stuff.
I cannot take in anything.
Yeah, well, Tim?
Oh, hey.
How's the show been for you? Is this your second E3 now with Capcom?
Yeah, that's right. So I did the math before. It's my 9th, which that really crept up on me. I'm sure that number doesn't seem like much to you.
But that's how it happens. You wake up one day and you're I went to all the E3s.
Right?
That's probably bad.
It starts somewhere, but it was really weird. I started this E3 watching press conferences on my couch at home. Didn't fly out till Monday, which great. I know you probably were here starting Friday at least, or?
Yeah, we got in Friday and had this room built up for Saturday.
Man,
yeah.
It's is that the longest time spent in LA for?
Yeah, it's a full week at that point, and. Yeah, it's, well, I don't know, honestly, the weird thing for me is because we're doing live shows during these press conferences is I'm used to the cadence of E3 being a constant rush. As soon as that first press conference starts until midnight Thursday night, it's on. And the way everything got broken up on those press conferences, it was like, okay, well, EA's got their one show, and then I've got the rest of the day to kill doing fuck all. So it became this dangerous thing of like, I've got too much time on my hands. And then when the next day rolled around, I wasn't quite ready.
Yeah.
And then, I get a text and they're like, hey, we're going out to dinner. You want to go out? Like, yeah, sure. And then I'm out till 3:30 in the morning, which I try not to do at E3 anymore.
It happens every year.
It's tough not to.
And then that messed up everything. So yeah, the show feels so different. Just adding that extra day.
For sure.
Yeah. And then what have you been kind of like, were you mostly holed up in the booth kind of?
Yeah.
Are you attached to a specific game or franchise right now?
Yeah, so like, we hang out in the Capcom booth, like you probably saw us. There was the giant Rathalos outside. There's Ultron Sigma sitting on the throne. I was inside, kind of showing off, like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and then also Mega Man Legacy Collection 2.
Right.
The theater demo for Monster Hunter World did a lot of the talking for people. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Like totally different pace than like you were formerly press. Like you remember the.
I spent 5 years on that side.
It spent most of the days like.
Ad Gamer Magazine, you may have heard of.
Of course.
Yes, yes,
yes,
obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Of course I have.
Obviously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like 100%. It had a dance sign in it.
Yeah, man. Took a long time to get that Twitter account.
Really?
Yeah. It's a story for another time.
Just
though.
in time.
I'm
to
into
shut down.
that.
Yeah,
I'll
of
get
course.
that. Yeah.
But yeah, essentially, you spent time like going from demo to demo, seeing games like Shadow of Mordor, and then hoping that you had time to actually write about it.
Yep.
But you didn't actually have time to write about it until like that night or maybe that weekend. And this was very much, it's like the mad rush up to E3. And E3 is busy, but it's like you built everything up to get to this point, and then it just kind of runs.
It's kind of a known quantity. It's like unless the demo breaks or something, you know what you're pretty much in for.
Yeah, but it's been fun. Obviously, it was like for me personally, last year was like Resident Evil 7. We were talking about that this year.
That is a great fucking game. Resident Evil 7.
Thank you.
Yes.
Play it in
Terrifying.
VR.
I didn't.
No, I couldn't. I literally couldn't.
Yeah.
It came out.
Daughter's upstairs saying, "Why are you screaming again?"
Yeah.
You're like, "I can't. You can't see this game. I'm really sorry."
Yeah.
That makes my heart sink to hear that, honestly. But yeah, I worked on that game on the marketing side. Obviously, like the boys in Osaka made that game. They did a good job. I played it like 5 times after it came out and platinumed it. This year, I'm like working. I don't know why I dropped the platinum thing. I didn't need to do that.
What do you mean?
Wow.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, I
Sounds
nearly...
like someone had a lot of time on their hands with a game they do very well.
I spent like
Yeah.
a couple months playing it a lot. Like I had a one-up on that.
I got my Shadow of Mordor Platinum the day it came out, man. Don't worry about it. It's like a right. Like you kind of have to. There's that inherent fear where it's like, as a community manager, if someone stumbles across my PlayStation
of
account and I
course.
don't have that 100%,
Yeah.
they're just going to shred me, as they should, right?
Right.
Certainly.
Yeah,
But,
like-
it's like I've got some chops. I can play some Shadow of Mordor. I can behead a captain every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as you do.
As you do.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
spent a lot of time murdering orcs.
I know,
Or
yeah.
Oryx.
Yeah, I didn't want to have to start on that note with you, but yeah.
Well, the Nemesis system obviously was one of the big, like very refreshing things about the previous game. It really helped make it stand out in a way that was surprising. And I came away from that game going like, that system is going to be in everything next year, 2 years out, whatever, 3 years out.
Yeah.
And it's been shocking to have been wrong on that. Like, obviously, you're back. The Nemesis system has grown exponentially into this crazy other thing.
Yeah.
But when the game came out and people seemed to really latch on to the Nemesis system, did you expect that like it would suddenly just be everywhere? That people would be or taking little bits and pieces for it. I mean, obviously, games get influence from everywhere. But did you think that maybe other games would look at that and go like, we need something like that?
I don't know. It's always so hard, and you definitely can't speak for any other developers. I think the thing that we did know, based on our experience making it, and then our experience with this one, is it's fucking hard. So
I imagine, way harder
really,
this time around. Yeah.
Like games are hard, and then you're adding this additional entire layer of complexity of all of these systems interacting with each other. So I kind of feel maybe there could have been cases where people thought about it and started looking at it and then went, wow, that's really fucking hard.
You're like, I'll just wait until they make a sequel to Shadow
Exactly.
of Mordor. I'll just
Yeah,
play
of course.
that.
Yeah,
It's okay.
yeah. That'll be fun.
Maybe that seemed like a good idea at the time, but those guys are fucking insane.
Yeah.
So we might skip that.
I mean, we certainly like it enough to keep putting it in our game.
Definitely,
And, like
yeah.
certainly love to like play. I mean, it's a fun system. Like if someone else did it, we would be all on board.
I kept thinking like a driving game. Like of course you would have like rival drivers that would like remember like I blew the doors off your last race and it's Nork in the car.
Well, it's funny you say that. It's interesting you say that because one of the big inspirations initially was Burnout Revenge.
Right.
So Burnout Revenge was this other car wipes you off the track, and then it's like vengeance.
Yeah.
And then you wipe that car off the track, and like boom, revenge. So that actually was one of the key kind of inspirations for us initially. And I think another genre that actually does something very close to the Nemesis system is sports games. So if you play, FIFA, you've got players, you've got procedural players, you've got play-by-play commentary, which has memory of what's going on.
Yeah.
You've got seasons, which are effectively this procedural storytelling of, you beat me last time, so I'm going to get revenge this time, and it escalates towards the kind of grand final. And then now I feel like there's this big innovation within sports franchises for them to actually have these story modes. So I think that's so within the action-adventure genre, not a lot of other people have applied it yet, but sort of, I think that's a big part of gaming is actually, looking more broadly across multiple genres.
Yeah.
I feel like XCOM is something that started to look at it.
Definitely.
And XCOM was another one that was an inspiration for us because it had that notion of, really care about this guy.
Right, this unit veterancy thing of just like, this guy can't go, I'll reload if this happens.
Yeah, time is always moving forward and creating these stories. So, I think a lot of the progress in game design is very often the kind of combining of different genres and bringing them together to create something new.
Yeah, and it's been fascinating. So I played the game a few weeks ago, the kind of pre-E3 event, and did the Fortress stuff. And it was interesting to just kind of like sit down in front of it and go like, man, there's so much going on.
Yeah.
Like between the entering that fortress, entering the mission and going, okay, well, there's these guys here. The example I keep giving is just like, there was one guy in mind that just didn't like spiders. So it was that thing of like, well, I can take care of him.
I could probably bring some spiders.
I can bring some spiders.
Yeah.
I can do this. I can do this.
Yeah.
And that, it felt like I probably could have spent like 45 minutes reading those screens and figuring out the exact way to attack this.
Yep.
Does it become hard to? Because I imagine there will definitely be players that will want to dive in that deep, but there might just be some players who are just like, my sword will do the talking. Let's go.
Yep.
Is it like hard to balance the game around both of those extremes?
Well, the thing we've added this time, and I think it's quite a big deal relative to the last time, is difficulty modes. And we've also added a bigger sort of elder game as well. So if you want to play on easy, you can just enjoy this kind of epic story we've created and whatever stories emerge, and you can kind of hack and slash your way through Mordor. If you want to put it on normal, you're going to get this balanced experiences. You're probably going to get beaten sometimes and get a mix. But it's been very important to us that hard is meaningfully hard. And for us, hard means a couple of things. One, you're going to die, which means time's going to go forward, and failure in our game always means you should actually be creating some amazing new story and some enemy that you fucking love to hate and you want to defeat. So you're ratcheting up the emotion of it. But hard also means that now you should actually pay attention to the tactics of the game. You should go and get intel. You should go and read that guy's strengths and weaknesses. You should go, if someone goes, oh shit, so to your example, this guy's terrified of spiders. So now I'm going to look through the hierarchy and I'm going to see this other nemesis, this other orc who's of the spiders, and he's got spiders all over him. So I'm going to go and dominate him, break him down, recruit him, make him my bodyguard, go after that guy who was previously impossible, summon in that bodyguard, see this guy, freak the fuck out, and then destroy him. So hard is a way for us to really enable players to have the best possible Nemesis stories and really experience the full depth of this system.
You made a game with orcs covered in spiders? They're covered
just
in
the one.
Like smaller one spider?
Like about sort of,
Just one of them?
Just a couple.
No, lots of spiders.
I mean, there's certainly spiders in training, at least with
They're
the
kind of,
you
to
can
be
bring
honest,
on the Fortress
they're
Assault.
kind of Half-Life head crab size.
I was really looking forward to Shadow of War, so it's an interesting strategy.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we have as many spiders in there as possible. We feel like people are really into that. Like there's blogs about cute baby animal pictures and like baby animals yawning and then like spiders crawling all around you, and we were like, well, one of those has just not been tapped into yet. So yeah,
really
but I mean,
sink into the spider thing.
obviously, yeah. And like the thing, at least to me, like one of the most interesting parts is typically when I end up in a situation where I'm approaching a fortress assault, and it's not just, like when I spent so much time in Shadow of Mordor, I was trying to just decode the enemy in front of me and try and rip them apart how I could.
Yeah.
And after a certain point, I got really, really good at that. But when you're facing several of them at a time, they have their own sets of bodyguards, you can find their fears, but using their fears when you're actually building your own followers as well is so much fun. We can actually bring in these team of guys where you're like, yeah, me and these guys have been in the trenches together. Let's go kick some ass.
Yeah.
And they're just shouting crap at the other war chiefs and everything. It's really fun. And I mean, even to that point, watching other people play it is a lot of fun to see how other people do it.
Right.
So, to see how Tim Turi ties in your game
That's
over and over.
Probably the spiders.
That's a good point, because I loved Shadow of Mordor. I played the hell out of it. Yeah. I'm enticed and intrigued by the sort of like siege assault element of it.
Yeah.
But I'm worried that like I'm gonna like sit there. I'm gonna make the plan that I think is great, and then I'm gonna get into like the throes of combat and it's be like, oh god, that was a bad plan. Like just like sketching out the war plan in the sand and be like, that'll probably work. Let's try it. And then you get in there.
Oh, all my best friends died.
Right. Oh god. Yeah.
You got everyone
Andy,
killed. Good going.
Yeah. Andy
But at least you got a good
as he
sword.
goes.
Andy the Machine. I told you not to. I thought that was a name just for.
Listen.
Sorry.
It's my own.
On that, this is a tip to you guys.
Yeah.
Never ever type Extreme Machine in Google Image.
Never, ever.
You know what everyone watching this is going to do,
never.
right?
I
Save
just
search off.
It's a good thing we're not live on the internet.
Is that still a
Without a
thing?
doubt. Live on the edge. Bing it.
Yeah.
So what I was driving at is just basically, can I save myself by being really an amazing like orc slayer from a bad strategy?
Fuck yeah. Okay. And I think there's two things to that. One, if you just want to just stroll into this fort, just be fucking king of the world, go and plant spies, convert all the war chiefs, they're all on your side, and you're just going to approach this thing, and it's just going to fall down in front of you, and you're just going to walk up to the war chief. But even if you don't do that, you try and go and be a one-man army and just charge in. You've given no thought to anything. Whatever progress you achieve, if you kill a particular war chief or an enemy, time's always going to move forward. You can never fight the same mission twice. It's impossible. We can't show the same mission twice, even at E3, because the world's going to evolve. Anyone you've killed is going to die. Maybe they'll cheat death and come back and hate you and want vengeance, but the world's always going to evolve and move forward. So failing is always fun. You're always going to fail forwards into some cool new story and relationship and nemesis. And
Makes me feel a lot better about myself.
yeah. Thank you.
So is this the system you're thinking, when it comes to the classics of the Mega Man Legacy Collection 2? When I die in those games, can I possibly just get better and move forward?
Well, what you could do is if
I might die a lot in some of those Mega Man games.
Jeff, if I'm really happy you brought it up, like if you're fighting Shade Man in Mega Man 7 and you decide like I am not ready to attack this robot vampire.
Boy, I have been there.
These zombie robots are giving me too much trouble. I activated the Ghosts and Goblins track for this level, and it's kind of spooking me out. You can back out of that, okay? And you can go and fight a robot master that actually has an ability that is Shade Man's weakness. Or for example, you could go and say like, I want to take on Junkman. I'm going to go to Cloud Man, work through his fun, bright cloud level. Take his ability. Bring that to Junkman. Not only
Is that true? That's fucking awesome.
power the machines that lay dormant in Junkman's world, is also the weakness against Junkman.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. This game's called Mega Man 7. It's available in the Mega Man Legacy Collection too, along with 3 other Mega Man titles.
Really?
Which you may have heard of.
Awesome.
These robot nemesises sees.
So Robot Masters, but the Robot Master system
Sorry,
is
I'll
something
stay
that,
on Robot Master.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's
No,
something
Nemesis is correct, though. We had to look it up.
very proud of.
yeah.
Been refining it since 1987.
You guys really took your time. I appreciate that.
100%. You gotta really just hammer on the anvil. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's weird because I always feel bummed out when like having hung out with Tim a fair amount.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I bet
Cool
that's what
sentence.
it's about.
That's pretty much the end of the story.
Yeah.
Comfortably, yeah.
Sounds
That's
about right.
like having heard Mega Man come up in a common conversation a lot. I was a kid who, when I first started playing kind of that more difficult platformer, not just Mario, but like my parents were like, "Here's Super Star Wars. Maybe you'll have a good time with it."
Yeah, maybe.
And I was like, "Well, I
maybe
hate
not.
this genre forever now. Can you
Right.
just give me a Link to the Past again?" And I feel like there's been all this time where now, as more time has passed, and I've actually like one of my friends introduced me to Dark Souls, and he even kind of sherped me through it for a while, and I was like, yeah, that's right. This can be kind of fun when it's challenging and it's me getting better, not just me having to kick the crap out of the guy in front of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice change of pace.
It was a big credo with those games. Like for me growing up, was just like I think the music helped, but it was just like that. I feel like that was really, really unfair what happened there. But like I know it's going to happen. It's not going to fool me twice. And then once you have it in like the back of your head, it makes those games a lot of fun. And then when you replay them and you know all the Robot Master weaknesses.
You have your path through the game, and
Like everyone, you talk with anyone about like like Mega Man 2 is like the easy example. Like who do you start fighting? Like who's the first Robot Master you go after?
Airman. It's always Airman.
You see, Metal Man's the go-to for me. 100%.
See, that's you and Dan should hang out.
Dan, who?
Have you
what's
met
that?
Dan?
Dan Reichert.
I don't like to talk.
He's
about that.
the getting
I don't like to
married.
talk about
He's
that.
the getting married to Taco. That's the
he's
getting
over there
married to Taco
waving.
Bell guy.
You're the best man at my wedding.
Are you the one who beat me out for
He
that?
says that you're the best man at the
A Taco Bell wedding? Is not a thing
best
that
man at a Taco Bell wedding.
this guy doesn't know what he's talking
Put that on
about.
your
Does,
tombstone.
have you guys told Bianca that yet? Does she know that that's where she's getting married?
Is she coming?
To the wedding?
Yeah, is Bianca coming?
Yeah, she'll be
She'll be at the wedding.
She'll be playing the bride.
Cool.
flying out with me.
I just been following your social media feed. I was trying to figure out like is she gonna be there or not. So okay, cool. But yeah, so it's got 7, 8, 9, and 10. 7. The fun thing about Legacy Collection 2, so the first one was all 8-bit titles.
Yeah.
7, 8, 9, and 10 are a little bit more of a
Kind of all over the place.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So it's like it kind of showcases like the evolution, like 7, 16-bit, 8, 32-bit, and then it's like there's a minute in the franchise for the classic Legacy, for the classic collection, and it's just like Mega Man 9, we're going back to the roots. Like you remember 2, we're going to try to like distill this down.
Right.
And then 10 kind of iterated on that with like extra playable character, extra levels. So.
And are those games getting touched at all to like add new features? I know that like the previous Legacy Collection had some extra stuff, but personally, there's a video somewhere on the site of me. It's just the webcam on my laptop pointing at me while I believe I'm playing Mega Man 10. And just going, motherfucker, god damn it, piece of shit. Like just
Making the Jeff Gersman soundboard.
angry.
It's
like
the Mega
mad.
Man, the classic Mega Man script
Yes,
is what it is.
basically, and it's a difficult motherfucking game.
Did you start with Blade Man?
I don't even remember.
You don't remember?
Anymore.
That's all right. So the nice thing is, there are like extra challenges. So it's like all the games are like very faithfully restored.
Extra challenges.
Extra challenges.
Great. Yeah, let's make these games harder. Terrific.
So there's well for you specifically, Jeff. There are like you can add a little bit extra armor, take a little bit less damage as you go
now you're
through.
talking.
They won't help you with the spikes. But the sort of like saving at your checkpoint and being able to start over with not losing a life next time you reboot from a checkpoint, that helps. 10 specifically has an easy mode, but the extra challenges are basically like remixes, like think like a playlist or something of playing through stages, different order, time trials. And then 9 and 10 have all the DLC that came with them. And there's the museum, which is like, I don't know, you can go into Mega Man 9 and see like, before it was Hornet Man, like they were tinkering with like a Honey Woman character before
Honey Woman's a great name.
Yeah, I don't know. They went with Splash Woman.
That was actually my first Twitter account was Honey Woman.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
Hey, I couldn't get at gamer.
Everywhere.
You know what I mean? So I was
Right, you couldn't.
work with what you can. But yeah, cool. Love Mega Man.
Yeah.
So.
What platform are they on? Like what platforms?
Oh, we're going PS. Thank you for that setup.
No, I want it. I want this game. I'm like, I want it.
can't
I was actually like, I was hitting this
What
moment where I
is
could
this?
jump in and be like, I can now play Mega
Just
Man.
like, take notes. Mention platforms, games available on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC.
alright.
Yeah. So.
And then with the Legacy
No
Collection
Switch?
1, was
Sorry,
that
it's just everyone asked me that.
Yeah.
That's the
You
standard
doing Switch,
question.
or what are we doing here?
What's that?
Nintendo Switch.
So.
Tim Turi has nothing
annou-
new to announce at the time.
Nothing to announce right now.
Okay, great.
But
You have gotten good at this.
It'll be out on August 8th.
Cool.
So you can return.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
8-8.
Yeah.
We're on 10-10.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to get out ahead of that.
Yeah.
The Nemesis system, Robot Masters, we just wanted to make say there was no mercy.
Usually in the same sentence. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of tweets
Those
this
are my
week. The
main
tweet of
safe
the week.
words.
That's I thought You co-opted my safe words?
The Nemesis system is ratcheted up. Robot Master is...
Ratchet's actually one of... Well, that's a word
Ratchet's
I use.
a
Yeah.
wombat.
Clank.
And
Clank is my
Clank.
ultimate
Yeah.
safe word.
I usually go pumpkin patch, but...
Trump.
So right, yeah.
There was there's been this kind of comes up and down over the years, and with Monolith's Legacy, some of the games made in the past
Are we
here.
talking about Blood?
Yeah, we're talking about Blood.
Okay.
We're talking
We're
about Blood,
good
but we're also talking about Nulf. And like that kind of comes up in the news every 8 months about this weird, like, who owns the rights thing and all this other stuff. Like, what is going on? Don't you have like a
get
box
asked it a
full
lot
of
too.
papers somewhere that you can look at and go like, no, here's the bill of sale. These guys got it.
There
Or
are
one
a
that
lot
says
of-
like, here's the bill of sale, but like, let's put an X over it. Now we own it. Yay!
There are a lot of boxes of papers.
I bet.
But it's a
Yeah.
question we come up against a lot, and it's like we're busy making orcs shout at you.
Right,
We don't know.
exactly.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it's I'm sure a question everyone would love to have answered, because that's a game that like consistently comes up, and we're like, yeah, like we love that game too an awful lot.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a weird position to be in, where it's like we
here's-
really wish we had that answer.
Here's my idea. All right, here's what we're gonna do.
All right, yeah.
You're gonna
Sorry,
bring
hang on, I
in.
get
Yeah,
my
no,
note.
right. That's
My
okay.
note.
Yeah, all right.
You're gonna
I'm
get.
not texting right
Yeah.
now. I've got Evernote.
Fair enough. You've got a handful of unpaid interns or lightly paid interns.
Sure.
Let's say
Lightly
you got them
paid interns for the sake of the
NDA'd all the way.
Yeah.
And you say, just dig through these papers and tell us what's in there. I don't even know. You're like a law student. Like, let's make it happen.
They're just gonna be like, did you guys play Shogo? This game's great. And we're like, we know. Like,
Yeah.
come on, man.
Yeah, this is Shogo Gold Master in here.
Stop
you
hanging
know
out with
this?
Hank so much. We got Kate Archer. What do you mean?
Yeah, right.
And the thing is, they would all rush out of a dark room somewhere and be like, I got chased down by a bear for 2.5 hours. It's like, oh, you guys fell across Condemned too.
Okay.
Got it.
More
Have fun.
spiders. Huh?
Enjoy-
We need more of those spiders.
Yeah.
When you find more spiders.
When you're
bring 'em
done
out.
giving us very faithful concept out of that, enjoy your nightmares for the next 2.5
You're
weeks.
saying the bear is
says
covered
you.
in spiders? Is that what you mentioned?
I mean, why not?
Oh my God.
When in
I think
Mordor.
zombie bears were a big theme at this year's
Yeah,
E3.
that
Did you
seems-
notice that?
Yeah.
Zombie bears,
Yeah.
giant snakes.
Why'd you look over here?
That's right.
And
there was-
Skull, I was looking to see if there was a bear on the board here.
Does a rabbit count? Because I'll give
But
it to
yeah,
you.
there's a rabbit.
Yeah.
I do like that they all have Cappy now.
Yeah.
Last time I looked, that was that.
And it seemed like a very skull-heavy E3. Skull and Bones.
Oh, yeah.
Just a handful of games that were just like, we got skulls. I
Yeah.
don't know, dead stuff.
You guys want skulls? We got them.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I imagine that there's skulls galore.
Yeah. Uruks really like adorning their armor in that. When they
Yeah.
get a kill, it turns out they're typically pretty proud of it.
Yeah.
You said
It's
there is an Uruk named Skulls Galore, though?
It's
galore.
that's actually
It's
that's one of
like
our
galore.
one of our
Yeah.
unique roles. Yeah.
Wow, it's really, I mean, the random generation is like really impressive. It's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
impressive.
We were gonna do one called Timothy, but it just didn't.
That's what you went with.
Well, we didn't is the problem. I think. Yeah, we were close.
Just didn't sound tough enough.
didn't make it through approvals.
Yeah, you just you need these kind of burly
We need it
sounding
tough.
names.
Please,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
Timmy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's Timmy. I
Timmy
thought that
does
was-
sound a little bit
I
tougher.
thought that was
Now
just
that you
Mama
mention
Terry.
So there is a size to Shadow of War that goes beyond Mordor, right? Like it sounds like that there are just like more individual maps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then is each one kind of bigger as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, each map's bigger, massively more diverse. Like we've got like urban environments and
So, yeah,
forest
like very different
environments
looks and stuff, too.
fucking
Yeah, cool.
waterfalls of lava and all of the classics. But then, as well as being larger, they're significantly more detailed. So there's caves and pits and missions and forests and towers and outposts and the fortresses themselves. But then on top of that, depending on which tribe's in charge, that all changes. So the outposts change and the
Right. Yeah, the whole look of it
the
will change.
living
right, yeah.
world, the
suddenly there's a feral
encounters you
fortress,
have in the environment.
And you're getting mauled by
change.
Caragors left and right. You're like, all right, I need to take care of that. That's an issue.
Story of my life.
Yeah, I know, right?
Mauled
Left
by
and
a
right.
Caragor. Yet again.
That's half of the reason I follow you on Twitter. I'm
Yeah,
like, it's
just
the
like-
Caragor mauling hour. Let's get to it.
Yeah,
yeah.
so you're following these, the spider account. You're
Right,
following the one
yeah.
with the pretty animal pictures, and then just
I haven't worked out.
You
Twitter.
figured me out kind of
The
quick.
weird
This is
thing-
uncomfortable for me.
The weird thing is the pretty animal picture account will randomly retweet the spider account. And it's just
Yeah, it's
like
the pretty animal
it's a
picture.
real Russian roulette situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the 50-50.
Yeah, it's just rolling some dice somewhere behind the scenes, and just every time natural 20, it's like, here you go, spiders, take it.
Whoops.
Oops, spiders. That should be
you
the name of the trait of the
Whoops,
trait of the
spiders.
game.
Oops.
All
It's a
spiders.
skill tree.
Yeah.
I thought you were. Where's Evernote at? I feel
Sorry,
like
I'm getting that.
I'm curious. I was trying to like put my former like journalist hat on before.
Yeah.
Like I met Michael when I was still at Game Informer, and we did like the Shadow of Mordor cover story.
Yeah.
And it was awesome, phenomenal, super nerdy time. I was like rereading the books at the time. I'm curious, what is like? Do you guys have an example of like one of the nerdiest, like Tolkien lore questions that you've encountered?
Oh man.
Man, like just a real. What is like the nugget of lore that people are after?
It's such a
with this?
beloved thing that obviously people like.
Like Tolkien nuts, like
go-
Dan Reichert, that just
That's usually what I
Yeah.
actually refer to Dan
All right.
as. Yeah.
I get in trouble for this. I shouldn't say this. I'm going to go into realms of things I shouldn't say. 'Cause it's a minefield. Really? All right. I won't say it.
All right. No.
Oh, all right. I'll think of something else. Oh, come on.
So the game, I feel like going into last year's E3, there were a handful of people that I knew that seemed, and they made me a believer that this game was 100% getting announced last year. And the previous game happened to go on sale on PSN last year at E3, along with a bunch of other games that were getting sequels announced at E3.
Yep.
And this one was mysteriously off the list.
Yep.
And now it's got announced, like very short announced to release cycle.
Yeah.
Good question.
What happened last year? Was it, like, it seemed like that normally like there'd be a long cycle. Was it just like a change in philosophy about promoting a game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's not just us. I think that's a lot of games now,
Definitely.
like really wanting to have that kind of pinnacle of excitement and kind of come out with a big announcement and not have too long for people to wait. I think the challenge for us with that is it's just a fucking huge game, and we've got so much to say. So now we've got this kind of 7-month period to get all this information out about the game, whether it's about the story or the world or the Nemesis system or the combat or the RPG features. I mean, stuff we haven't even talked about. So we've just got this incredible cadence of constantly having to get new stories and new information out there. And I think as well now, obviously the culture around video games and releases has changed so much in terms of people streaming and wanting to see new content. And our game in particular is so dynamic and so emergent and so built on this kind of crazy wild sandbox where anything can happen that we really want to get out there and have a stream every Friday and actually show people this possibility space that every single time they come and look at our game, they're going to see something different.
It's going to be just like progressively crazier every single time they look at it. Yeah, that's a cool strategy. And also, I mean, there are so many events now that it seems like even if you were like, hey, even if you just like, hey, we announced it at E3, even if you didn't announce it a few months back, and we're still putting it out when you're putting it out, like, there's PAX, there's Gamescom, there's all this other stuff.
Yeah, it's fantastic. There's so many ways for people to see the game and interact with the game and communicate with us on Reddit or communicate with us on Facebook. I think one of the most exciting things about this game, and one of the things that was, going back to our announcement strategy, so we've been working on this for 3 years. So, for 3 years, we're not allowed to talk about what we're doing. We're not, and you're like, and it's itching, and we can't tell our families, and we can't tell our friends, and we can't go.
It's not some big surprise that maybe this successful game would get a sequel
and you
someday.
meet people and like, what are you working on? Oh, I can't tell you. But we're like, itching, and then you sort of get to sort of explode out with what you're working on.
I mean, it's
in this very compressed way.
It's like, it's been fun, at least like now that we have so much to talk about, at least as the community guy. Like, we spend so much time on Reddit and on our forums and reading through the Facebook comments because there's usually so much fun, specific information from fans as they watch through just our gameplay demos.
And the fun thing for us for the kind of 3-year period where we weren't allowed to talk to anyone was we'd go on and we'd be secretly kind of stalking things out there. And you'd look at the wish lists and you'd look at people's wish lists of what they wanted to see, and you'd be like, yes, we're doing that.
We've got we've got 7 of those, and 3 of those are terrible. So
exactly. And you're an idiot. But, but mostly they're doing all this.
So you read Tim's post then? Yeah. So it's weird of you to still use that Reddit account.
I mean, I was like, Honeywoman was like, I felt like it was a pretty decent veil.
That was good.
Look, it was a good start. It was a good starting point.
Tim, do the fans ever talk to Capcom about what sort of games they might like Capcom?
Does that happen?
Oh, wow.
Does that ever happen?
Interesting.
Does that come up?
Yes, very passionate fan base. We've been, we were live streaming a little bit earlier today, showing off some games, and I'm in the chat. We always We're always listening and checking it out and
You're
reading
the Fraser
everything.
Crane of video game
Yeah,
companies.
right. We're listening.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like Frasier, by the way.
It's good. Of course you do. It's a good show.
Marty got shot. His kid took care of him.
I know.
It was really good
Yeah.
touching.
So welcome to Fraser Chat.
I was gonna say,
Hi,
is like just let's make an Ace Attorney, but it's Frasier. I mean, I know he's not a lawyer, but like we could probably find a way to adapt.
I think Kelsey Grammer could carry the part.
Yeah,
I'm pretty confident he could make that work. Yeah.
You'd find no objection from me. But yeah, there is a bit of there's a vocal community out there, and we listen. I used to be one of them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And
True.
then you had a platform that you could like even be more direct in pages of a magazine and go, this is what they should be doing. The Speed Rumbler 2.
That's accurate.
Please, just, can we make- can we
Is that
make
why
a-
you brought me on again this
Yes,
year?
can
Is
we make
just
a
to
sequel
mention
to Speed Rumbler?
Welcome to Speed Rumbler Chat, everyone. This is
Okay, either make a
Help me. I'll get the notes
new
out.
version of Speed Rumbler, or alternately, just the stage 1 music, just on loop.
Oh,
I'd
okay.
buy that and just listen to that.
So I do have a 10-hour loop link that I keep bookmarked on YouTube, and I can just
if you just forward that to me, we'll call it
send
even.
it. That was actually really easy.
Yeah,
That's true.
All right.
Okay,
that's
cool.
fine.
I remember when I went to visit you that one time in Minneapolis, and that's all we listened to, was just the Speed Rumbler soundtrack
Yeah,
the
and it was a
entire time.
vinyl, so it was really.
I mean, it was weird how we just sat in your car and listened to a turntable in the back seat, but to eat, like it was cold enough outside. We had our Juicy Lucy's in us. Like, what else
It's
did we
probably
need?
a good thing you were there
know,
because otherwise he would have had the hose coming out of the exhaust pipe and all this other stuff. Like
he
really,
was this close. It was so. I was like, you know, this is probably not a good idea. It's like it makes it warmer. And I was like, well, for a bit.
Yeah. For one sweet moment.
One sweet moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what we wanted.
So welcome to the nemesis system between Tim Turi and I.
Yeah.
I now know his weaknesses.
Right.
One of them is obscene amounts of carbon monoxide, as it turns out.
Weird how that works.
Building up an immunity.
I share a lot of weaknesses with our orcs. Like I'm also scared of fire. Is a thing that happens to me a lot. It's the
Are you
weirdest
really?
And
thing.
being
for real?
stabbed in the head.
And being stabbed in the head. That's actually one that comes up a lot. I just wake up in a cold sweat from working on this game, and I'm like, okay.
That's just because I'm hovering over you with that knife.
I don't know
You
why.
wake
Stop
up.
sleeping in the office.
It's, look, the community manager's hours never stop. All right, it's when you
Fair enough.
When you sleep under enough random desks at a time, you're bound to wake up to a knife every once in a while. A monolith. It's just the territory.
Rite of passage.
It's a rite of passage.
They call that crunch time.
That's
for real. So obviously, like a game this big and having so much to show off, are you kind of, do you build your own strategy for like, hey, we're going to run these streams and talk about this feature here, and all this sort of stuff, or is it kind of like as the game comes together, you're like, this one's ready to show, let's get this one up next.
Yeah, I mean, at least when it comes to like our community communications, like our streaming every single week, it's like we have a team of like we have Jared, our community specialist, who works every single week very, very diligently to get a stream up. Like there's so much happening with the game on the back end in terms of development. Like when we get asked like how big is it, like we're constantly tuning it. Like the regions have grown in such a way. The Nemesis system is still getting tuned in a lot of ways where like when you change the Overlord of the Fortress, it can actually have really like big effects throughout the region.
Yeah.
And so as time goes on and we're actually kind of figuring out exactly what we're trying to talk about, there's a lot of it where it's usually the team is typically pretty inspired by what they're working on, and it's easy just to find people that want to help us talk about it. We know the things that we want to talk about usually in an order because the Nemesis system isn't exactly easy to communicate.
Sure,
But when we're going out week after week and we have a community that's really interested to tune in every single week and have that conversation with us, it's nice because the conversation actually becomes pretty organic.
Totally. I mean,
it's nice.
when the first game got announced, and I remember sitting in a room and having someone run down like, here's what the Nemesis system is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that sounds really cool. I don't know that I see it. Like it was something that like watching the demo of the game and sitting down and playing a little bit of it for the first time, you're like, there's what they're saying sounds incredible, but I sat here for 20 minutes and I don't have a nemesis. What's going on?
And that's the thing.
Like
even
it's
in the
so
first,
hard to demo.
Yeah,
right?
even in the first gameplay demo, it's really tough to accurately communicate that. Like you get a good idea of what to expect, but is it like it isn't until that guy actually beats the shit out of you a couple times and you really have a profound rivalry against him, and you're like, this guy, like I kill everyone else, but this one guy will not stop kicking the shit out of me. Like I'm down in like the lowest part of my health bar, and he comes out of nowhere and he just beats the crap out of me with this huge flaming hammer. It's like, really wish he wouldn't do that. Like it draws a very, very sincere rivalry.
Right.
Yeah.
I felt that there were some people around the first game bragging, being real, just being dicks. There was like, oh, I didn't have a nemesis because I didn't die. It just wasn't a problem.
Tell us how you really feel about
Try
Dan.
this one.
Yeah. So what's the solve there? It's just
Hard
like,
mode
hey,
is
hard,
for
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Oh, we've made this for you. Oh, yes.
It's like it's weird because like especially when I'm playing the hard mode, like I've had this moment where it's like at a certain point, it's like I feel like I'm a general in a real-time strategy game when I'm doing a fortress assault, which brings like the Spartan Dynasty warriors in.
Yeah.
But then when you're playing like an overlord battle at the very end of a fortress assault, there's this small point where obviously like Dark Souls fights have a very clear connotation in terms of like there's a very mechanical precision to everything that happens.
Right.
But when you're in the middle of an overlord fight and you're getting mobbed by their archers and like you have these Ologs running in and it's like that hammer probably would, that'll crush me, I should get out of the way of that. It's really, really intensely difficult where you work your way through this field where you have all the help of all of your friends and then you make your way to the overlord and it's like, well, shit, you brought a few guys with you, huh? And it's like, and it's really, really like intensely difficult. Like it's nice to have that moment where you're really busting your ass trying to beat this guy up.
Yeah.
You can write that down.
No. I just like, just as an example of that. So we got a guy at work, Hammer, Lucas Myers, right? And he is an incredible player of our game. And he just sent, oh my God, I've got to find this now. It was just an email. So while we've been here at E3, he's been playing the game, and he just had the most phenomenal story where he just got his ass absolutely kicked by these orcs. So here's someone who's just like phenomenally skillful at our game.
Yeah.
Just having these incredible stories emerge where he just absolutely loves to hate these guys. Sorry, you guys carry on. I have to find this because it's fucking cool.
To that point, one of the fun things about this show is Ellie Knapp, the one who's playing every single demo. Like she's someone on the design team. She's incredibly, incredibly good at the game. And even throughout every single demo, like there's times where she, who has spent thousands, I'm sure, of man hours at this point in the game, is still running into situations where she's like, no, that was really difficult. Like I wasn't trying to make it look hard. Like I was actively getting the shit kicked out of me in that Overlord fighters. I was taking victory point A or whatever the case was.
Yeah.
And like again, as someone, I felt really, really confident kicking the shit out of a captain in Shadow of Mordor. There's a lot of times in Shadow of War where I'm like, I should probably run. Like I probably could use a little bit of health right now.
Probably get out here and figure some stuff out and come back.
Like my usual strategy.
I got to read
Let's hear this.
story just because it's so fucking good. So this guy is good.
Yeah.
So he's probably the best.
That's probably the nicest thing, by the way, that anyone's ever said about Hammer. This is so nice.
So it's been taking me hours to shut down the war chiefs in the hierarchy. There's one persistent war chief fucker who's an assassin. He's killed me 3 times thanks to no chance trait. Fucking pissed. I planned everything out for him now. Put a spy guard on him, selected a personal bodyguard who I thought would be particularly helpful, so I go and fight him again. My spy helps out. Still very punishing fight. I'm losing. But then I remember, I got a bodyguard. So I summon him. Then this other asshole shows up with my bodyguard in a headlock, cuts him down. Now I'm dealing with 2 of these shitbags. The spy guard's dead. My bodyguard's bleeding out. Graug shows up out of fucking nowhere, causes enough distraction for me to finally kill this shitbag assassin. Yes. He gets his last words and I chop off his arm. I just know this a-hole's going to come back later. The guy who ambushed me became terrified, ran away. I went after him, dominated him, but he was a level higher than me, so I couldn't recruit. I decided, fuck it. I'm just going to kill this guy because fuck these orcs. I want to end this zone. So I choose stay and fight. He's no longer terrified, then promptly kicks my ass. Okay, I'm still happy because I killed the assassin. I respawn, pick the orc who just killed me to get revenge before I try the fort again. On my way, I'm ambushed by a different asshole from a while back who's now turning into the flame of war. He beats me down, humiliates me, telling me to get back up. He beats me back down again, then walks off. Son of a bitch. Then a follower ambushes me, says I'm too fucking pathetic to work for, so he betrays me. I beat him down. No, fucker, you're mine. I try and recruit him back. Oops, he's iron-willed, so I kill him. And then another follower comes and ambushes me. Now he's pissed because I killed his blood brother. Dealt with that, went did a fort assault, got it down to the final war chief. Barely beat him down to last words. Nope, he's a tank, fucking death-defying. Then I died. 2 to 3 hours of this I've ever played of this game. Hope you're enjoying E3. So that's someone who's been playing this game for like 6 years, sending an email to us on the team, just saying there's this like amazing fucking story.
The cool thing, I think, to me, at least as the community manager, like very regularly we're hearing feedback about the game, as most video game community managers do.
Yes.
Certainly. And there was like whenever anyone comes to talk to us about our game and they have like a sincerely held story that they want to tell you about it, usually in most other games it's like there's this moment in the story that was so impactful to me and like let's all talk about when Aerith
But that's
died in
his
Final
story.
Fantasy.
Yeah, with these
and that's
more
the thing.
emergent stories.
In the community in the community management area, whenever I'm out reading a Reddit post or an IGN comment or whatever the case is, like there's these people that are just so fucking pissed at this one war chief where like they had this incredible moment of victory and nothing we wrote is anything to them. Like they're so wrapped up in that moment, and it's so cool to just see how sincere they are about it. Like they fucking hate those guys.
I shouldn't say this, and you should never say this, but I don't think anyone's ever felt that identified with Nathan Drake as he did with his personal story there. Like it's yours, It's
the difference between like watching a scripted movie, and I mean that's like the ultimate power of video games, especially as they get more powerful. We're hearing more and more, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and just all this other stuff. People just having these extremely personal stories of vengeance, just this trail of blood across, like all this sort of stuff. And it's the stuff that like when they announced Destiny, they talked about as like players having stories, and then Destiny came out and you're like, no, my story is I shot into a cave for an hour.
But like at least to that, like it's still those moments where like they'll talk about the raid they went on or the strike they went on for the first time where they were able to finally take this fucker down.
The game eventually got there. As they worked on the game, like that game got to the point where you started having those moments. But like we're seeing more and more of those, and it's just been so much fun to to have some of those of my own and share them with others, and just like seeing other people's, whether it's even just something as short as an animated GIF or just like these long streams, and just being able to see all this stuff has just been great.
It's one of those things I'm excited about as a fairly newly converted Monster Hunter fan. To our team, you prepare for E3. You want to put on the best show that you possibly can. We were doing a theater demo for Monster Hunter World. Our team did everything they could to kind of like make sure that they're making people's time worth it. They're waiting in line. It's just like at a certain point, like you can't prepare for every possible variable that's going to happen with your game. If the Anjanath appears over here and sniffs you out and is following you around, and maybe they got a better lead on you, or the Rathalos attacks in here, and then depending on how that sort of like quarrel pans out, I remember having these stories of coming back from these hunts of being like, I totally blew it. We need to band together and kind of get back in there again. And so I love Destiny. I love Shadow of Mordor, and I'm looking forward to Shadow of War because I just like sharing. These are games that like are fun to talk about. I remember like there's a unique breed of game. Like I don't know. I remember talking with Dan about like Animal Crossing games. Very different breed, but it's just like something that's fun to talk about. It's like half of the enjoyment of the experience for me.
Totally. That's actually like when that Monster Hunter trailer went up, I was suddenly like there was this galvanizing moment where even Brett Elston, for those of you that are unfortunate to know Brett Elston, I'm really sorry. He's a tough guy. Is like he for the longest time would always tell me about Monster Hunter and like these specific tells that different monsters have when they're starting to get weak. And like I remember especially when I was actually getting into Dark Souls, really being intrigued by that. But it's just like I lent my 3DS to my dad, and he's been playing Zelda games on it for a long time, and like I feel a bit like a dick for asking him back when he's like, I know you were just enjoying those, so let me go ahead and rip that out of your hands really quick.
Play this other thing.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like I was really looking forward to get into that. Like I think there was this moment when I was first watching it, and I was like, Monster Hunter? Like I was like weirdly excited for a series I had never played before, just being on a platform where it's like.
And I had this moment of just like, this is a really good looking Switch game that they're bringing out. Oh wait, no, this is totally something else.
It's like, is this Phantasy Star 4 remastered?
Yeah,
Shit.
finally.
Yeah,
now
we made it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming through, Tim, Andy, Michael. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
thank you.
It's
always a pleasure.
Let's do this again next year. Let's do it again sometime.
Cool.
Absolutely. We're going to take another break and come back with more guests, more fun, and more excitement. We'll be back.